It has happened. I am legend. With a very tap-tap team. And actually, I don't want to brag, but I actually thought I was going to hit the leaderboard with it, but I was 10 elo short when the day came because the elo moved up from 32 something to 32 something higher that I wasn't quite at. But the moral of the story is I went from mid-expert level up to legend and almost to the leaderboards with this tap-tap team that was put together by my good friend Spleenlejeune. So it is sort of a variant of things that you've been already seeing around, this combination of Steelix and Medicham together, and we've decided to pair it with Bastiodon, so kind of a simple ABB Steel lineup. So the main concept of this team is that we have Medicham in the lead, and Medicham is going to be ran with counter as its fast attack, and then the charge attacks of Ice Punch and Psychic. You could run it with Dynamic Punch, possibly, but this team overall is pretty weak to Medicham or fighters in general, so giving it Dynamic Punch also sort of loses the edge it has against other fighters. Steelix is going to be used as your safe swap or your pivot Pokemon most of the time, and that is mostly because of its charge attack Breaking Swipe. So you want it on Dragon Tail as its attack, Breaking Swipe, and then Earthquake as its secondary charge attack. And then lastly, we're using Bastiodon at the end to just kind of clean up against whatever is in the back. This team is super good against Carbink, which was around often right after the Halloween Cup. If you see Carbink around, doesn't want anything to do with this team. So I'm going to go into a couple of matchups of what you would do if you see a specific lead. I will say that for a majority of things, you are going to pretty much automatically swap into Steelix, and that's going to be unless it's up against like a Medicham itself or another fighter or like a Lantern, but we'll go over it as we get into the video. So again, we have the team here on the right hand side, and we have the leads that we will be facing on the left hand side. So the first lead we're going to talk about here is Pelipper, and like I said, we almost always are going to use Steelix right away as that safe swap. But the thing is with Steelix is you're most likely going to want to shield the first attack of whatever your opponent is, especially if they're staying in. So Pelipper kind of has an energy advantage. I thought maybe they would swap out, but they didn't. So this second Weather Ball goes through, but now I'm at 2 Breaking Swipes. So the first Breaking Swipe is going to already lower the attack, and since they're not able to get to another Weather Ball in time, I'm going to use this second Breaking Swipe. I now am going to be able to take switch advantage because this Dragon Tail takes it out. So the Sableye comes in, I'm able to get to yet another Breaking Swipe, lowering the attack of this Sableye, and I'm okay letting the Steelix goes down because alignment is key here. So the Bastiodon comes in, and I swap out. It's a Carbink, which Carbink does nothing to Bastiodon, so I could have stayed in, but Sableye has, a pretty dominant matchup against Medicham, so I decided to put the Medicham against the Carbink instead. I did shield up the Moonblast because that would have been super effective damage, and now I'm just continuing to counter away. Carbink takes forever to get to its charge attack, so I'm just throwing this a little bit beforehand, and I'm able to counter completely down, come out with an Ice Punch to throw at the Sableye. Now I'm in a really, really good position here because even though I don't have any shields left, I can just swap back into the Bastiodon, and he's going to waste all of this energy, but it's a full healthy Bastiodon, so as you can see, just going to continue smackdowning here. We don't call this a tap-tap team for nothing, right? The second foul play goes through. I mean, I know at this range, I can probably even tank another foul play, and it looks like I'm going to, and I don't even bother throwing a charge attack. Just going ahead and completely smack down that. So normally in scenarios like this, you obviously want the Carbink landed on the Bastiodon or the Steelix even because none of the charge attacks really do much damage overall. But you kind of have to play obviously to the team that is built around. So since they automatically swapped out that Sableye was going to be fully healthy when faced up against the Medicham at the end, and I just didn't want to have that risk at all. So I swapped out to the Medicham, and that's how I played that. The second matchup that I'm going to show is a Pokemon that we just are just going to pretend that it doesn't exist because it does kind of core break this team. So depending on how your opponent plays it, it can be a bit dangerous, but we're going to go ahead and see how I played out the matchups against a Clodsire. So Clodsire in the lead is the best position to be in, honestly, especially when it has Mud Shot because it would be doing super effective damage to everything in the back. This is crucial. I went for an Ice Punch bait here and they shielded it. I've also Ice Punch baited other Clodsires where they have not shielded it, And I've also hit Psychics on Clodsires when, yeah, so it's really a gambling at this point. But after they released their charge attack, I swapped into Steelix to do that, breaking swipe. And again, I'm going to have to shield up something up ahead of time. Greninja is a great counter to Steelix, but since I already managed once to shield and already put the attack down on it a little bit, I know that I'm going to be able to once again get switched with this. It's going to be good there. Even though these are super effective mud shots coming through, they do have to throw or else I would be able to go ahead and take that down again. So in comes the Clodsire. Then they actually swap out to an Umbreon. Umbreon is pretty good against Medicham, but again, it's all about the lineups in the back, right? So I know that Clodsire has a very dominant matchup against Bastiodon, so I swap out because, yeah, the Umbreon is not doing much. It's basically two tanks going against each other here, foul play after foul play going through, and I get up to almost 100 energy on the Bastiodon before releasing a Stone Edge, and I'll just do it again as well because they have a lot of energy, but not a lot of health left. So I'm going for a Flamethrower this time, just in case it was a Clodsire in the back. It's not going to do that much more damage, but it's going to do a little bit, right? Again, I'm Ice Punch baiting to get that last shield, and now it's going to really come down to the wire here because I have a shield left as well. I didn't want to use it just in case I thought they were maybe baiting. They weren't. But now we're both down to the very, very end. But I know that my Bastiodon is going to be able to take this out. So even though that was a Sludge Bomb and I didn't need to shield it, kind of called it incorrectly at the end, even though this foul play is going to be able to go through, it's not going to be enough to take out the Bastiodon. And this Stone Edge will be enabled to take out the Umbreon. So again, Clodsire's kind of difficult. It's a lot of you got to be in your opponent's head. You got to figure out when you want to bait and if they're going to shield or not. But that is the best case scenario for seeing a Clodsire. Next up, we're going to have a Dragonair, and we're going to do the immediate swap out again to the Steelix, and they immediately swap out to a Quagsire, which is a bummer because Quagsire, like Clodsire, does really well against these steel types in the back. So I'm going to go ahead, shield up this first attack, which turns out to be an Earthquake, which is huge because shielding that up, yeah, again, it turns out really good for that Steelix here. Now it's double debuffed. I still use that shield just in case. And then at this point, I'm like, I'm going to have to just farm it all the way down. Luckily, since it is double debuffed, I am able to farm it down and come out with a Breaking Swipe and potentially even one more for whatever comes in. It's going to be that Lickitung, and I am able, not quite, turns out, to get it. I come back in with that Medicham because I knew that it was the Dragonair. They swapped out, and I brought in the Bastiodon. Now, Bastiodon takes super effective damage from the Aqua Tails of the Dragonite, but as you can see, since it's the Shadow Dragonite taking 20% more damage, it's just whittling away itself. I throw this attack because they still have a shield left, so I figured, okay, we got to make them do something. So it's either going to throw here or let it go to the Lickitung. I think my opponent thought that Lickitung would be the winning Pokemon for them, putting all the eggs in this basket. And it does get pretty close, as you can see. They're able to get to 2 body slams. But unfortunately for my opponent, I'm able to get to a Psychic here. And the Psychic should be enough at this range to take out the Lickitung. Now, reaction time is really important in Go Battle League. But I do want to bring attention to 2 specific matchups against a certain lead, and that is going to be the Shadow Alolan Sandslash. The thing about Sandslash is it's so weak to Medicham that your opponent is obviously going to swap out. Because of that, hold on for as long as you can while still being timely to see what they're bringing in, right? Because as we normally would use Steelix as a safe swap because we can either get the switch advantage or shield advantage or debuff the Pokemon. Sometimes whatever Pokemon they bring in will just be so weak to Bastiodon that it's much better to bring that in instead. So I'm going to show 2 different examples of what you should do if you see an Alolan Sandslash lead. So the Sandslash comes in and we see a Gligar. Gligar, automatically, as fast as you can, you want to switch into that Steelix. And you definitely want to shield up that first attack because it's going to be a super effective dig. But after you've shielded that first one up, this is poor timing by me, by the way, so don't pay attention to that. But once you get these breaking swipes through and it's able to make their attack fall, then it doesn't matter as much because this dig will not be enough to take it out. And I know that since I will be able to get another breaking swipe through, I'm even undercharging it, as you can see, because I want to get as much extra farm on this as possible. I maybe overdid a little bit, but I know that since it's now double debuffed, this dig is not going to be able to take it out. And since these wing attacks are not doing anything, again, I'm able to come out with a fully loaded Steelix and I'm going to be able to throw some energy at this Sandslash. The Earthquake is super effective. It will be enough to almost knock out the Sandslash if they don't shield. They don't shield, and as you can see, this Steelix has basically gone through 2 of their things in the back. Yeah, and Mandibuzz can't really do anything against Bastiodon, so that was a quite decisive win. But if I would have gone in the other way, it would have made the game a little bit closer. Now on the flip side, Sandslash lead, Pelipper comes in. Pelipper can do nothing to the Bastiodon. Well, I mean, it can hit with these super effective weather balls, as you can see. But as a Bastiodon player, you can completely farm it down if it's an XL Bastiodon. So make sure that you use those XLs. But now, as you can see as well, I come out with essentially 2 flamethrowers here. And being able to get both of these off is crucial in this game. If they want to use both of them, then the Medicham would do well against it. This Altaria comes in. I counter with the Steelix. Again, game over. Other Pokemon that would be beneficial for you to swap the Bastiodon in instead of the Steelix would be Lickitung. In general, Lickitung was not going to be able to be hitting as hard against the Bastiodon as it would the Steelix. Frostlass, even if it gets to 2 Shadow Balls, will not be able to take it out. A Pelipper, and I would also say probably Mandibuzz as well, because even though you will need to throw an attack, it's unlike the Pelipper where you don't, the Dark Pulses just won't be hitting as hard against the Bastiodon as it would against the Steelix. Also, if they swap in Carbink, because they're just crazy, go ahead, swap in that Bastiodon and just watch the devastation on their faces as they realize they cannot do a thing. The last matchup I'm going to show is a difficult Pokemon for basically the whole team, and that is going to be a Defense Deoxys. You can play it out a couple different ways. If your opponent is smart or wary of it, what I do in this game probably won't work for you. I have tried to swap out Steelix immediately as well, but in this game, I'm counting to when they get to the Thunderbolt, and I'm swapping onto the Steelix to catch this. So this actually worked in this game. I've played a lot of games where this doesn't work, and they just continue to farm, and then they have a lot of energy. They also swap out before I even get to a Breaking Swipe, which is nice because now I have a lot of energy to throw at whatever comes in. This Dugong will still be doing a decent amount against the Steelix, so I shield this up because a Drill Run is super effective. But I am now at almost 2 Breaking Swipes. I'm going to go instead for the heavier hitting Earthquake. It almost takes out that Dugong, and now at this point I'm just praying that the Drill Run isn't enough because I already got that Breaking Swipe through. And once again, able to completely farm down, come out with a Breaking Swipe to hit whatever it comes in. Since it is that Umbreon, it's still going to be kind of a close matchup overall. The attack has been debuffed, and so I decide to come in with, what do you think? The Medicham. They immediately swap back out into the Deoxys. They still have a lot of energy on it. I go for the Psychic here because I was hoping for a potential debuff. The more correct play would probably be to go for the Ice Punches, especially because my opponent has 2 shields. I kind of went for a higher risk thing. It didn't pay out for me. I don't have any Protect Shields left. This Thunderbolt is coming through. But my thought pattern was, we've seen it many times in the past, Umbreon does not fare that well against Bastiodon, so I might as well get this Deoxys out of the way. We both had a similar thought to completely swap out at the same time here, and I'm just going to try to speed up these matches a little bit for everyone because it does take a while. I am wary that they still have a shield. I'm just getting a lot of energy. As you can see, I want to get to almost 100% here. We have the charge attack priority. They're able to throw first. I throw here. They don't shield it up, or they do use their last shield. So now we're at shield parity. They, spoiler alert, have this really nice catch, but it doesn't really matter at this point anyway because I know that the foul play going through will still not be enough to take it out, and the Stone Edge, I will be able to get to a Stone Edge here. So while it is getting down to the wire, I am able to get to the Stone Edge. Slowing it down for you because at the end too you'll see that this was almost a timeout victory as well, which kind of makes me laugh because it is the Great League. You don't see it very often. So love it or hate it, but here is a tap team that brought me up to Legend, almost up to the leaderboards, up to 32, 35 I believe. And yeah, it's something that's kind of fun to use as well. Go ahead and give it a try. Next coming weeks are going to be the Ultra League, so it's not going to be around then. See if you can get these Pokemon for the Catch Cup, or wait until all the leagues run back around for the final rotation before the end of the season. I wish you all the best of luck. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments. Or if you just want to berate me for using this team, I'm also here for it. All right, talk to you guys later.